Hello FPL managers, yes, we're back again with another video for the Fantasy Premier League 2022-23 season. This is the third entry from our stat-based series. We've gone through the best first draft we could create based on expected goal contributions from last season. We also looked at the best 11 we could create from outside the top 6 based on FPL points per 90, and today we're going to be taking a look at the best draft based on expected FPL points from the first 5 game weeks of the coming season. So if that sounds interesting to you, please don't forget to like this video, click that like button and subscribe. A lot of you guys are watching our videos and not subscribing, so please help a brother out. It's going to help the channel out a lot. Click the like button, subscribe, and let's get straight into the video. So in building this draft, we're going to spend the least amount of money possible on our bench. The least amount you can possibly spend on the bench is 17 million. So that's exactly what we're going to do. We're going to fill our bench with the cheapest players we can find in the game. So backup goalkeeper of Turner and a backup defender of Neco Williams, who are both £4 million. And we've gone with 2 midfielders on our bench, Andres Pereira and Jacob Murphy. They could be any cheap player. I don't care about that for this draft, so you can select whichever player you deem fit. So that's what we're going to have on our bench for this draft. So starting off, you can already see that our formation is going to be a 4-3-3, and surprise, there isn't going to be a Salah on this draft. Not because I don't want Salah in my final team or that I think he isn't going to score really high points. As you will see on the graphics, he does really score high, but I'm talking about the total team for this draft. It has to score the most possible points that we can achieve, and I don't think we can get that by having Salah in this particular draft. Okay, so that's just a spoiler alert, just so you know why he isn't on it. So we're starting off in goal, and our goalkeeper is going to be Edward Mendy. Now the graphic does show a few goalkeepers scoring more than Mendy over the course of the first 5 game weeks of the season. He scores 18.3. Hugo Lloris, Alisson and Ederson all score more points than he does, but the caveat here is that Mendy costs just 5 million while the rest of these goalies cost 5.5. so I think that 0.5 million can be used effectively somewhere else on the pitch. The other £5 million goalkeeper who scores almost as high is Schmeichel, but Mendy does much better than him, probably because he plays behind a better defense, so no surprise there. So Mendy is going to be our goalkeeper for this particular draft, because for the amount of money he costs, he's going to get us closer to the most points you can get for a goalkeeper. As for our defense, we've gone really big with our defense. We've focused a lot in defense and in our forwards since we don't have Salah in our draft. So the defense is going to consist of the 4 highest predicted point scorers for the coming season, and that includes Trent Alexander-Arnold, of course. He's scoring 5.9 points in game week 1, and over the course of the first 5 game weeks he scores the highest with 25.4 expected FPL points. Robertson comes in behind him. First game week he has a 4.9 or 23.1 over the course of the first 5 game weeks. Reece James is the only non-Liverpool player who's going to be in our defense, so it's a triple up in Liverpool defenders and a double up in Chelsea defense. Okay, so it's gonna be Trent, Robertson, James and Van Dijk. There are other defenders on this list: Doherty, Perisic, Trippier and Target. These guys cost 5 million, and the defenders we have selected cost nothing less than 6.5. so even though they cost that much, you can see why they do, because the points they are predicted to score is a lot higher than what you would get spending less money. So it all depends on you. It all depends on how you see your team. If you feel like you do not need 4 of the highest scoring defenders for the first 5 game weeks, of course you can adjust. This is just to build the highest point scoring team that we can possibly get. Okay, so that's it for our defense: Trent, Robbo, James and Van Dijk. Our midfield consists of 3 £8 million midfielders. Since we aren't going with Salah or the really high costing midfielders, we're gonna go with the mid-range midfielders, Saka, Mount and Maddison. Salah of course scores very high with 34.1 over the first 5 game weeks. The next player after him is Kevin De Bruyne, who scores 27.7, although he doesn't score as high as Heung-min Son in game week 1. KDB scores 4.9, Heung-min Son scores 6.3. So you may want to start your team with Son if you aren't going with Salah, okay? But if you want a double premium midfield, you could go with Salah and Son for game week 1 and then possibly switch to KDB because he does have more points predicted over the course of game week 1 to 5. So that's just to maximize the amount of points that you can possibly get, okay? So game week 1, Son does score higher than KDB, you can go for him. But for the midfielders that we have selected, we have Saka, who scores 23.4 points over the course of the first 5 game weeks, compared to Son, who costs 12 million pounds. You get almost the same points. That's why I think it's wiser to focus on the £8 million midfielders. Luis Diaz scores just as much points as Saka, but we can have him in our team because we've already tripled up on Liverpool defense, so you can always adjust there. Probably take out Van Dijk and bring in Luis Diaz, you know, to have more balance in both defense and attack. We have Mason Mount following close behind with 23.2 points. He is predicted to score even more points than Saka in game week 1. Saka is predicted to score 4.5. Mason Mount is predicted to score 4.8. So he has the easier fixture away to Everton. So we expect him to score just about higher than Saka. So the third midfielder we selected was Maddison. In fact, he's been doing quite well in preseason, scoring and assisting goals. So if you have the funds, you may want to think about getting someone like Maddison, you know, like a differential player that not a lot of managers are thinking about. So Maddison is predicted to score 4.5, just as much as Saka in game week 1. Over the course of the first 5 game weeks, he doesn't have that, you know, high of predicted score. He scores 19. So you may want to switch Maddison out and bring in someone like Luis Diaz, who has at least 4 points more predicted for him. So that's it for our midfield: Saka, Mason Mount, Maddison, or you could go with Luis Diaz, but for our team we've gone with Maddison. So our forward line is going to consist of Harry Kane, who's predicted to score 6.2 points for game week 1, and over the course of the first 5 game weeks, 26.1. The total for the first 5 game weeks isn't as high as Erling Haaland, who is predicted to score 31 points over the first 5 game weeks, if he's fit, of course. So in game week 1, you might want to go with Kane and then switch to Haaland in game week 2, so you can maximize the amount of points you can get. So, but I'm starting with game week 1 with Harry Kane because he's going to score the highest points for forwards. I've also gone with Gabriel Jesus. He's been doing very, very well in preseason, and he's predicted to score 22.1 points over the first 5 game weeks, almost as high as Ronaldo, who's costing 10.5 million pounds. So Ronaldo's predicted to score 23.2. Jesus is predicted to score 22.1, but he costs 8 million. So I think that's money well spent. He costs less than Vardy, and Vardy is predicted to score less points than Jesus. So Jesus is a very, very good pick. If you already have him in your team, I would advise you keep him right there. As for our third forward, we've gone with Callum Wilson, mostly because he's going to be scoring very high in game week 1, 5.3 points, and predicted to score more points than Bamford and Vardy and even Gabriel Jesus. But his total points for the first 5 game weeks is just 18, and that's just 0.2 higher than a £6 million Solanke. So you could easily just switch from Wilson to Solanke just so you can get more funds into the other parts of your team, and probably you could upgrade Mendy to Ederson after game week 1, or you could get a better defender than Reece James or Van Dijk, or you could upgrade your midfield probably from a Saka to Bowen, you know, something like that. So our forward line is going to consist of Harry Kane, Gabriel Jesus, and Callum Wilson. So in game week 1, they're predicted to score the highest points, and then probably in game week 2, you can switch from Kane to Haaland. Just similar to what we talked about in midfield of switching from Son to KDB, simply because Manchester City are predicted to score the most points between game week 2 and game week 5. Okay, so that's it for the draft. This is the best team we could come up with the highest predicted FPL points for the first 5 game weeks. I hope that was helpful to you guys out there. Don't forget to like this video and please subscribe for more content. I'm gonna be dropping the final draft closer to the start of the season when I've gathered all the stats, all the information from preseason, and that would really help us. I hope you're doing the exact same thing. And then before then, I hope to probably drop something in between, more stats, just to help us build that perfect game week 1 squad. Okay, if that's all, I'm gonna say good luck, have fun, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.